Greetings to you this day. This is who I really am, but I'm going to show you some of the things that I do on the side. So, come on, let's go and look. Hi there, greetings. Here we are this morning and we're going to make a little sauerkraut. That's one of the things that I really like to do on the side. I like sauerkraut, I like to make it, I like to eat it, I like to give it away. It's a great gift. And here we got a few cabbages. They need to be cleaned up, the outer leaves need to be pulled off, they're a little bit dirty and roughed up. And you could just take these cabbages and pick up your butcher knife and slice it up here on the cutting board, and by the time you're done, you can fill this pail half full. This is a real good food grade plastic pail. It's actually made for making wine, but it's a food grade pail, and you can put your cabbage slices right in there and make sauerkraut. Or maybe if you're fortunate enough to have one of these, this is a slicer. Look at this. It's got two blades, really sharp. You slide that cabbage across there, you'll get nice thin slices, even. It's really good. And it wouldn't take nearly as long as with just the butcher knife. Or how about this one? This one might even be faster. It's got three blades. Those two are pretty sharp. And once you get your pieces of cabbage in here, you slide them back and forth in this box, and it wouldn't take long and you'd have your slices all done. But I'll tell you, when you get done, 3 cabbages, your arm's going to be pretty sore. And so what if you're making more than 3 cabbages into sauerkraut? So we're not just making 3 cabbages. In fact, we're making a little bit more. How about 100 cabbages? Look at all those, a whole trunk full. And here's a bunch that I got out of the back seat already. This is going to take a little bit more than just a slicer or a butcher knife. So we've got something else. Hi there, as you can see, I've got quite a few cabbages on here. This is about half the load. And so what I need to do now is hose them off, get the chunks of sand and dirt and maybe some grass and spider webs and stuff like that off. And then once we're done here, I'll take them back to the back of the yard and I'll finish cleaning them up, take the outer leaves off, any bad spots. But we'll spray them now. This is the machine that we use for slicing the cabbage. And I know it looks like maybe a bit of a contraption, and it is. But we built this, my father and I built this 33 years ago, and we made maybe over 30,000 pounds of sauerkraut with this machine. It's pretty simple. Here, let me show you how it all works. Here we have our sauerkraut slicing machine. Now I know that you can buy online all kinds of much more complicated machines, or from restaurant supply houses, much more complicated machines that will maybe do 500 cabbages in a day. But we didn't want to spend that kind of money, and what we did was built one ourselves, and we used a lot of recycled material. And now this machine is probably 33 years old, and it's probably made well over 30,000 pounds of sauerkraut without too much repair. I think there's a different motor on it. But let's have a look at it. The main thing about it is this slicer right here. Now this is going to go around really quickly. And what that is, let me show you on the back side of it. This is a disc that actually came from the side of a filing cabinet. And so we cut it into a circle, and then we cut a notch in it all the way down here. We attach that to a mandrel, and then once this cut was made, we hammered it out so that there's a space, an angle between this part and this part. So this goes out about 1/8 of an inch. And then what we did was attached a brace at the top. And so there it is. That's the main thing. That's your blade. And that's going to go around fairly quickly, and it's going to slice that cabbage up really nicely. And then we'll go around to the front again. So there's the blade, and it's somewhat enclosed in the hopper here. And that blade, there's the mandrel. And then that hooks onto a shaft through a couple of pillow block bearings right here on this top board. And we have the pulley. And the pulley with the belt down to the motor. And as I say, I think that's a washing machine motor, the second one that we've used. And we have some an on and off switch and so on for it, and that's going to go around. You can set your cabbage right up here on the top. You can take a whole cabbage at a time and slide it through. Now on the back side with the hopper, to cover that hopper and for ease of cleaning, what we do is right along the top here, we're going to take a plastic bag, a large plastic bag, cut it open, and we're going to staple that all the way around so that that's going to provide a cover for that hopper, and then all the cabbage will fall right down to the bottom. So we're going to see this in operation in a little while. It's going to make some noise. It's going to wobble around a bit. As I say, you can buy much more complicated machines, but here's one that you could build yourself. And as I say, it's made a lot of sauerkraut over the years. Well, we're all ready to go. I've got 4 cabbages all cleaned up, ready to go on the table, and I have the plastic on the back here, and so the hopper's ready. So I'm going to turn this on, and this is the first 4 cabbages I'm going to do today. There's one done. It only took about a minute or so. And with this machine, you don't have to cut your cabbage. You just go straight in with the whole thing. So here we have the first load of cabbage. It's all in the hopper. The hopper actually, or the hopper drains into a cooler that we have, and I take the top off it and use that. So what we do now is we take this cooler with the cabbage and we weigh it. Now to do that, I'm going to step on the bathroom scale that I brought from the house out here. Now I've already weighed myself and the cooler together, so I know what that weight is. That provides the tare weight. So now I'm going to step on the scale and measure that, and then take the tare weight away from the reading now. This tells me that I have 29 pounds of cabbage in the cooler right now, and I'm going to dump it in this barrel right here. Now these barrels, this is what I use for making sauerkraut. They will hold over 300 pounds of cabbage, and they work out really well. We've had these for about 35 years, and where they came from is they would ship olives from Spain and Portugal to North America, and then they dumped those olives out, but it wasn't worth sending the barrel back. And so often you'll see these for sale as water barrels. They're really rugged, really durable, good food grade plastic. And what's also nice is that they come with a lid. They come with a two-piece lid. This goes on, and then this screws on too. Holds it really tight. Keeps it nice and clean. Really fits well. So use these barrels, and they have great advantages, but they also have a few disadvantages too. One of them is that they're really heavy. Once you get this full, you're not going to move it very well, and so you better know where you're putting it to start with. Also, when it comes time to clean that barrel out, it's a long reach down there to get the last bit of sauerkraut. So what very often ends up happening, you have to tip it on its side and kind of, well, not climb in, but almost climb in. Anyway, that's where it goes, and then we add the salt. Now this is a really important part, and I know on various videos on the YouTube and other places, it's kind of elusive as to how much salt to use. So here it is. Now this is with 30,000 pounds of sauerkraut experience. You want to use pickling salt. Pickling salt, just like this. Now it could be in a bag, could be in a box. This is 1.36 kilogram, which is 3 pounds. And the ratio of salt to cabbage is 40:1 by weight. So when we get 40 pounds of cabbage, we need 1 pound of salt. So this box will make 120 pounds of sauerkraut. So 3 pounds at 40 pounds of cabbage each, that's 120 pounds. And you want to stick pretty closely to that ratio. You can go over, make it a little more salty, but don't go less. Now, I know there's a lot of people that are concerned about salt consumption. You get to be my age and you're concerned about blood pressure and all that kind of thing. And every time you go to the doctor tells you to cut back on your salt. And that's important. But when you're making sauerkraut, put the 40:1 in, because that salt is the preservative for that cabbage. If you have not enough, your cabbage will get soft and mushy and maybe even rot. And if you have too much, well, that's okay, because here's what happens. After the sauerkraut is all cured and you're finished making it, it'll take about a month, especially in the outdoors like this. Take about a month, and then when you make it, you put that sauerkraut in your pot and you drain the liquid off, and you put some fresh water in and stir it around a bit and drain that off. And that will give you a real nice sauerkraut, not too salty, not too strong, because you've washed all that heavy flavor and all of that salt out. Now, there's still salt in there, and some people might even like it if you washed it another time. However, you have to determine that at home. But don't be afraid to put the right amount of salt in there, and don't try to skim. Now, you use pickling salt. Pickling salt is not table salt. It does not have iodine in it. Your table salt has iodine in it, but pickling salt does not. If you use table salt, it will leave a taste. So don't do that. Pickling salt is what you want. 40:1 ratio. Don't fiddle with it. Just stick with that and you'll have a really good result. You'll have a nice sauerkraut, nice and firm, crispy, really good, and well preserved. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so it's mid-afternoon and I've been working all day on the sauerkraut. Started about 10 o'clock and I only have 20 cabbages left. And here I just wanted to show you a few things. Here I'm in the back shed. I've got the barrels right over here. Right over here. You can see my special baseball bat that I use just for this. I keep it really clean. And you can see there's about 350 pounds of cabbage in there. And I've got a cooler here full. There's 26 pounds right in there. I weighed it out. And so that's going to go into this further barrel over here. I think we're going to get about 2 barrels full. So right in there. So I'll pour it in there, and then I'll add a certain amount of salt and tamp it down. Food should always be about flavor, always be about having a little fun, a little enjoyment. It shouldn't be onerous. Now, something I wanted to point out to you, I have this, my pail that I have, and in the past, this is what I did. Now, an old Hungarian lady in one of my churches told me about this. This is how they preserved food in the old country years and years ago. Well, you make your sauerkraut, and you put a little bit of sauerkraut down in the bottom, maybe a couple of inches. And then, as you make the sauerkraut, you're going to have leaves left. Some of the outer leaves of the cabbage. So you get that sauerkraut in the bottom, and then you put a layer of those leaves in. And then, if you are like me, you have a garden, and there's going to be peppers and green tomatoes and things that, at the end of the season, they're not going to ripen anymore. And so you put those leaves down, and then you can have a layer of peppers, and then some more leaves, and a layer of green tomatoes, and some more leaves, and maybe some carrots, or some turnip. And make sure it's sliced thin enough so that the salt and so on gets in it. And as long as you stick with that 40-to-1 ratio, 40 pounds of vegetable, could be cabbage, could be other things, to 1 pound of pickling salt. And you can let that cure, and you can let that cure out here in the shed or in your garage. Doesn't have to be in your house. Could be on your balcony or on your deck. And if it freezes, well, that's all right. You just bring it in the house and let it thaw and take what you want and then set it back out again. How do you think they looked after things in the good old days when salt wasn't just a seasoning, but it was a preservative? And this is how food was cured and preserved over the whole winter, whether it be vegetables or it could be meat too. So you get a pail like this. No need to buy an expensive crock online or at a specialty store. Just get a pail, a food grade pail. Get some cabbages, get some pickling salt, and have a little fun. There's no need for that crock. In fact, maybe that's the thing to be avoided a little bit, because a new crock certainly is expensive and it is breakable and it does take up a bit of room. And an old crock, well, you have to be a little bit careful. That old crock, if it has any cracks in it, that's a place that bacteria can reside, and that can be problematic. Although, if you use enough salt, that shouldn't be a problem. Also, when you want to weight down your cabbage, there's no need getting a special stone or something like that. In fact, that too might be something to be eliminated, because when that stone gets into the brine and that reacts with the salt, it might leach out minerals into the sauerkraut. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that it would hurt you, but it might not improve the flavor. And so instead of using a stone, use some pop bottles, some soda bottles. So you've got 2 liter, you've got small ones, big ones, juice bottles, whatever. Wash them out, take off the label, make sure they're clean. Maybe don't use the one that you found on the side of the road, but make sure they're clean, put water in them, and use that to weight this down. Lay them on their side, stack them up. Now what you want to do is push those vegetables below the liquid. And you might even need to add a little bit of water to your sauerkraut, just so that you get enough liquid. And push it down below the liquid, and that way it'll be really well cured. And so when the sauerkraut is done, it will not float. And so that's how you know that it's done. And it will probably take 4 weeks. You can eat it sooner, but it won't be fully cured for 4 weeks. So keep those things in mind. Here's one of the things that I really like about this sauerkraut slicer that we built. And I don't know that it was part of the design, but it just worked out that way. That now that we're all done, all 100 cabbages are in the barrel, about 650 pounds. I started out at about 10 o'clock this morning, fiddled around with the camera a little bit, and now it's about 5 o'clock and I'm finished. And I just finished a few minutes ago, so everything's still wet. And I just started to pull the plastic off of here that was on the back, part of the hopper. And now this is the slick part. All I do is hose it off. Everything is going to come clean, let it dry for a little while, and then put it away till next year. Well, we're all done. Everything's washed up. I didn't mention before, but I did lift the motor out of the bottom. And I didn't mention before that I'm wearing this glove because I had a little accident with the knife. It's hard to hold the camera and cut at the same time. So I bandaged it up and put the glove on and kept working. My wife probably doesn't like that, but anyway. Anyway, thanks for watching. Make food accessible. Make sauerkraut fun and accessible and enjoyable. And enjoy a good meal of it. God bless. Another time.